Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going through how I shot this picture using just an iPhone and then editing it in Lightroom. This is going to be kind of a two-in-one. We're going to do a iPhone shooting tutorial and then also a Lightroom editing tutorial. And this is another basic Lightroom editing tutorial. Nothing fancy that we're doing, maybe just a bit of color correction and a bit of brightening and contrast. So if that sounds interesting to you, we're gonna go ahead and hop right in. So what I wanted to do was kind of more of a Valentine's theme shoot. So I had all of these chocolate covered strawberries. I just used basically a container, dipped them in some simple melted chocolate chips, and let them harden for a bit, and then put them on my pink marble backdrop that I have and just shot them in natural light. I had a reflector on the back of the scene, and then I had a black fill card on the left of my scene just to kind of cut out some of that light and kind of redirect some of it as well to kind of hit the strawberries the way that I wanted it to. So I'm going to be playing what I was seeing from my camera here, and I was using the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, I guess is what it's called, but I went into the settings and enabled the grid feature so I could see the grid on my lens while I was shooting. And I shot a lot of top-down angles, and that was the one that I ended up liking the best, was the top-down. But you can definitely go from any angle that you would like with the camera. I don't know if every single phone has this capability or if it's just iPhone X and later, but there is a plus sign in the middle of your grid when you're shooting top-down, and it will show you if you are shooting straight down or if you're still at a bit of an angle. So as you can see, when you are off of your straight perpendicular angle, you can see two plus signs. There's a yellow one and then a white one. And then as you get closer to being straight up and down, it will line up those two plus signs, and then it will be just one plus sign when you are shooting at the right angle down there. So as you can see, I was just going in and testing a bunch of different shots, a bunch of different lighting. You know, on the iPhone, you can tap the screen and it will adjust the exposure to that point that you tapped on. So I was just seeing how the light would change, which lighting I liked the best. And I was being a lot more haphazard with shooting on the iPhone than I would on a camera, just because I know that you can't manipulate the lighting as much as you would be able to on a camera. So I was kind of just testing out all the different lights that I liked, and I ended up liking it best when I just didn't tap on any spots at all, and it was just that warm light coming in. Otherwise, it kind of cooled the light down too much for me, and I didn't end up liking it very much. So that is the basics. Honestly, I would just take a couple shots, see how I liked it, and see what I was seeing through my lens. And then I would put the phone down, readjust my scene a bit, and then keep adjusting until I liked it. It's a bit similar of a process that I do when I'm just shooting with my camera, but it's a lot quicker. So it definitely was nice having a quick setup and takedown and not having to have my camera on a tripod and shooting and adjusting and all that sort of stuff. But I did miss the adjustability of camera settings that you get just shooting on any plain camera that you have. So I definitely still prefer shooting with just a normal regular camera, just because obviously the pictures end up coming out better. But I ended up with this shot, which we are going to turn into this shot. And I'm going to show you how to do that in Lightroom right now. So let's get into it. Okay, so I have uploaded all of the pictures from my iPhone into Lightroom. And I did that just by airdropping them onto my computer. If you don't have a Mac, you can just plug in your phone with its USB cable into your laptop and transfer them over that way. As you can see, I have a lot of pictures that I took just to take all different kinds of angles and different kind of lighting. And some of the lighting, as you can see on like this one, for instance, was just not very good, and I didn't really like that lighting very much. It was just kind of to play around with the settings and see which one I preferred. So I narrowed it down to my favorite shot, and I believe I'm going to use this shot. So this is the one we're going to edit. Now, if you've seen my last Lightroom editing tutorial, you know that I like to crop my pictures first. So let's crop this down to the Instagram size once again. And I really want this center strawberry to be the focus of this image, so I'm going to just narrow it down. So we hardly have any background, but that focus is still all on that strawberry in the middle. So I like that. I think I like it being up and down like that and just right there in that center box. And it crosses the lines pretty much directly in the center on any of these kind of grids that you can filter through. And you can do that just by pressing O on your keyboard. So I'm gonna close that because I like that crop. Okay, so now we have our crop. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom and enable camera profile corrections. I'm going to do that, and you see it did a slight adjustment. It's not super different, but it just adjusted the picture just a little bit. Now I'm going to go into sharpening and just raise that a bit. And I'm going to adjust the colors on this for sure, but I think I'm going to adjust the lighting first so I can tell what kind of colors I'm dealing with at the end. So we're going to go into the tone curve right here. And I always start with the darks first just to see what I'm dealing with in terms of like how to adjust it further beyond that. And that washed out quite a few colors, but we're going to fix that with some other contrasting. So I raised the lights, and as you can see, it lightened up the entire image. My only problem with it is it kind of blew out this lighter white part on the top of the strawberry. So I'm going to decrease the highlights to get rid of that overexposure of that part. So there we go, that's a bit darker now, but it still just looks a bit washed out to me, so I'm going to lower the shadows a little bit and then go into the general adjustments up here and then play around with the contrast a bit more. I always like to go into dehaze for my pictures, especially for iPhone photography. It just turns out a bit more hazy and there's not as much sharp contrast between everything, just because the nature of an iPhone versus just like a mirrorless or DSLR camera. It's going to be a bit hazier, so I'm going to increase that quite a bit. And that just made everything a lot more vibrant and a lot more clear, even though it is shot on an iPhone. I'm also going to up the clarity just a little bit. You don't need too much ever. And now I'm going to go into the highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. I always like to raise the blacks just a little bit just because I don't like there being just a really concentrated black color because it just seems a bit extreme and it doesn't look super natural. I'm also going to raise the whites quite a bit, probably to about 20 or so. And I'm going to decrease the shadows, as I said before, just because that gives it that contrast and it makes sure the picture isn't too washed out. But I'm also going to decrease the highlights just because I know this is a problem area right here and that will get rid of that a little bit more. So I think that's looking pretty good so far. I am going to go into the color correction now. I'm going to start with the basic, just vibrance and saturation just on this, these two bars right here. I'm going to increase the vibrance a little bit, and I know it looks pretty vibrant right now, but when we go in and change the colors, that's going to change a little bit. And I'm going to increase the saturation because I know I'm going to decrease the saturation in color in like some of these strawberries and everything, so I want to make sure that the chocolate retains its color and that sort of stuff. So now we go down to the HSL/color panel, and I'm going to deal with the saturation next. So I know I want to take the red saturation down a little bit. So I'm going to take that down to about 6 or 7. And then I want the greens to be a bit more green. So I'm going to take that up slightly. That's right there. And then I'm going to go into the luminance next, which is just how dark or bright the color is. And the reds are really bright right now, and I think taking the luminance down is going to fix that a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And it just gives a bit more of a richer red color to those strawberries, which I prefer. So about right there I think is good. And now I'm looking at this picture and I'm looking at the colors, and it seems a bit too warm for my liking, so I'm going to go up to the white balance up here, and I'm going to decrease that a bit on the blue-yellow scale. So I'm going to decrease it, and it's going to just cool down the image a little bit, because I like warmer toned things, but I just prefer, I think, this shot to be a bit cooler. So you can see though, after we've done that, it kind of made these background bits a bit blue tinted, so I'm going to go down to the saturation panel again, and to minimize that blueness of the background, I'm going to just decrease the blue saturation and then decrease the aqua as well, because there are some aqua tones in there as well, and that just gets rid of a little bit of that blue tint. So here's the before and here's the after, and of course this is just my preferred way of editing and the preferred way that I want it to look for this shot. Some people would prefer kind of more of a warm type shot, but I just liked the colors here. I do notice there's a bit of imperfections on this strawberry that I would like to touch up, so I'm going to take this brush, it's the clone brush right here, And I'm going to, first of all, close that and click on this image right here so I can zoom into it and have a better shot. Take the clone brush, and then you can just drag it across what you want to clone. And then it will replace it with that dot on the side. So as I close that, you can see it duplicated what was right here and put it right there to cover up that imperfection. So then I'm going to do that one more time with this little spot down here. And then that should be good. When you zoom out, you can hardly tell what was there before. So now I'm happy with this shot. I think that is the end of my editing. And so now I go up to File and Export. Name it what you want, and then just click Export, and then you're all done. So that's it, guys. That's a really easy, simple, and quick way to take pictures just on your iPhone and then edit them using Lightroom. You could probably use a lot of different apps that you don't have to pay for that will do basically the same edit as Lightroom on pictures like this, just because you don't need to manipulate as much in the actual picture. But this is just kind of a way to go about taking pictures when you're kind of in a bit of a crunch and you want to capture something that you think looks interesting, but you don't have the time or the means to set up any big scene or any big like equipment and that sort of stuff. This is also perfect for people that are very new to food photography because you don't need a camera to start practicing and getting better at food photography. You can use literally an iPhone, practice editing, practice seeing what shoots you like, and get started from there. You really do not need a camera to start with food photography. You can take very good pictures with just limited equipment. And I hope that the editing process was helpful for you and that it helped you kind of see where you should take your edits up a bit more. And if this video is helpful, please give it a like and comment your thoughts, anything you think about this video and what the shot was and just, you know, the process that went into it. Comment your thoughts below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.